So far, we're done with 2 hours of sessions. First class, we discussed about introduction to Power BI. What is Power BI? What we can do with Power BI? I discussed in the first class, and yesterday is the second class. So in first class, we tell that Power BI is the name for collection of softwares. Using all the softwares, we'll do this BA work. We'll do this business intelligence work. And then in class 2, we seen how to install Power BI desktop software. And once we install Power BI desktop software, we know that Power BI desktop software will contain 3 softwares in it: Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. And we understand about the Power Query software. So in the last class, we understand about which software, guys? We understand about the Power Query software. So we haven't completed completely about Power Query. We just started understanding about the Power Query software. First, we discussed to install Power BI desktop software. What are the prerequisites? I hope everyone installed the software. And once you installed it, so how to open Power BI desktop? You just need to go to in the desktop. Once you install, you will get a shortcut. When you double click on the shortcut, the software will start opening. Let me open the Power BI desktop. So it is opening the software. So yesterday we understand that once you open, so I explained what we will do with Power BI desktop. It's a development software which is used for preparing the data in Power Query, modeling the data in Power Pivot, and visualizing the data in Power View. So we started overview of Power Query software. So inbuilt, so first time when you open Power BI desktop, you'll be getting a start screen. So we are not going to develop anything in the start screen. We can immediately close the start screen. Just click on close. The start screen will be closed. You will be landing in the report view of Power BI desktop. Yes, perfect. So this is Power BI desktop software, and it contains 3 different softwares internally in it. It contains 3 different softwares internally in it. What are the 3 different softwares it contains is Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View. So let's start understanding about the Power Query first. So how to open Power Query? Yesterday I explained. You need to go to Home tab and you need to click on Transform Data. When you click on Transform Data, it will open another interface called Previously I'm Here. As soon as I click on Transform Data, it will open another window called Power Query Editor window. It will open a new window with the name Power Query Editor window, and this is the place where I can do the ETL work. In yesterday's class, I said that Power Query Editor window contains multiple Power Query Editor window contains multiple
GUIs.
GUI options. So here let's see here. Power Query Editor user interface contains hundreds of graphical user interface options in it. With the help of the GUI options, we'll be performing the ETL activities or data preparation activities. To do the ETL in Power Query, we no need to write any code. So first one in ETL is extracting the data. In the last class, I shown you how to go and how to extract the data into the Power Query. I said that when you join in any company as a Power BI developer, when you join in any company as a Power BI developer, they'll give some data sources to you. They'll give some data sources to you where the company is storing the business data, where the company is storing the business data. So once they're given the data sources, what you need to do on them is you need to create reports and visuals on them. So as we know that we are not recommended to do it directly on OLTP systems, you want to create a separate system called OLAP system in Power Query, Power Pivot. So to move the data into the Power Pivot, to prepare a OLAP model in the Power Pivot, we need ETL software. Power Query is the ETL software. It need to go and connect to the data source. It need to extract the data, and it need to transform the data, and it need to load the data into the Power Pivot to create a OLAP model. Now let's do that. How can we go and extract the data from data sources? So in Power Query, yesterday's class I said that to extract the data into Power Query, use new source GUI option. There is a new source GUI option. Using this, you need to bring it. Yesterday we seen how to bring the data from Excel, how to bring the data from SQL Server. So we bought some tables from Excel and we bought some tables from SQL Server. Why? Because my client is storing the business data in both of them. Let me do that. Click on new source, click on Excel, browse where the Excel file is located. Desktop, desktop backup, source files, and this is the Excel file where my client is storing the business data. Click on open. It will show list of tables in that Excel file or list of sheets in that Excel file. It opened this Excel file and it is telling that in this Excel file we have 3 sheets or 3 tables, and you can select what tables you need for analysis. After selecting the tables, you'll find OK, cancel. When you press OK, the tables will come to Power Query. When you press cancel, the connection will be lost. Connection will be lost. Press OK. Press OK. The tables are there in the Power Query. Now, once the tables are there in the Power Query, we can start transforming the data. So I want to bring the tables from another source also. So there is some other subset of data which is storing in other data source, SQL Server also. I want to go and bring the data from SQL Server this time again. To bring the data from SQL Server, click on new source. Again choose SQL Server, and you want to provide the server name and database name. So this server names and database names will be provided by the clients. When you join in any company, this connection information will be provided by the clients. From where you need to take the data, from which server you need to take the data, from which database you need to take the data, clients will explain you. Clients will explain you. Let me start with database name. Here, database name is optional. When I press OK, it will open the server and it will show the list of databases in that server. In that database, in that server, I have 5 databases. When you expand any database, you can see the tables. Basically, database is the place where we'll have the tables. You want to expand any database and you want to select the tables which we need for analysis. I want customer data table, product data table, and sales data table. Press OK. Press OK. Press OK. Now you got the 6 tables here. You got the 6 tables here. Like this, you want to go and bring the data from different data sources. Once your data is there, just 1 second, guys. Fine, guys. So once you brought the tables into the Power Query, we need to transform the data in the Power Query. We need to transform the data in Power Query. So let's start transforming the data. Let's start transforming the data. So you want to go to each table and you want to see how the data is. Look at this in the people's table. When you look at here, you have person and region. Person and region. So this person and region is not the data, it is header. You want to move this first row to the header. How can you move the first row to the header is click on use first row as header. So again, moving the first row to header is a one kind of transformation. So I am converting the data in the table first row to header. It is a transformation. To move the first row to header, you need to know which GUI option you need to use. You need to go and use first row as header. You need to go and use first row as header. Click on use first row as header. The first row will move to the header. Same way, when you go to the returns table, you have first row here. So in the returns table, so this is not again the data. This is header return order ID. This is not populating the header properly. I want to move it to the header. You want to select the returns table first. You want to move the returns table first row to header. There is an option called use first row as header. When you click on it, the first row move to header. So like this, you need to go to each table. You need to transform the data. So I'll explain more about the transformation now. Now, before we transform the data, let me load the data into the Power Pivot. First, I'll load the data into the Power Pivot. And once after loading the data into the Power Pivot, on top of the data, I'll create some visuals and I'll show what is the need of transformation. Once after creating the visuals, I'll show what is the need of transformation. So, and then I'll come back and I'll do the transformations. We'll do like this, guys. Now I bought the tables. I'm not transforming the data. I'm directly loading the data into the Power Pivot. I'll go and create some visuals and I'll tell you so what transformations I need to perform here. So basically, when you create the visuals, you'll came to know how the data is. So, and we will see whether we are presenting the data as expected or not. If the data is not as expected in the visuals, and if client is expecting to do some transformations, we can go to Power Query again and we'll do the transformations. For now, let me load this data to Power Pivot now. So let me load all the 6 tables to Power Pivot. To load the data, you need to click on close and apply, guys. In the Power Query, to load the tables into the Power Pivot, you need to click on close and apply. I bought 6 tables. I want to load the 6 tables into the Power Pivot. Let me write here. So to load the tables into the Power Pivot, tables into Power Pivot, to load the tables into the Power Pivot, we need to click on close and apply. We need to click on close and apply. So to load the tables from Power Query to Power Pivot, to load the tables from Power Query to Power Pivot, we need to click on close and apply. So in the home tab, you have a close and apply button. This close and apply button will load the data to the Power Pivot. This new source button will extract the data from data sources. To bring the tables into the Power Query, new source. To load the tables into the Power Pivot, close and apply. Remaining buttons, we'll talk about it. All the buttons used for transforming the data. Extracting the data is nothing. Loading the data is nothing. The major part is transforming the data. All other GUI options we'll use for transforming the data. I'll come back to Power Query just now. Within 5-10 minutes, we'll come back and we'll discuss how to transform the data. Now let me load this data. To load this data, you need to click on close and apply, guys. When you click on close and apply, all the tables are loading. Look at this. All the 6 tables are loading into the Power Pivot. So once you load the tables, where you can see the tables is in the model view. You need to go to the model view, and in the model view, you can see the tables which we loaded. So I loaded 6 tables. I'm able to see that 6 tables in the model view. So we'll discuss more about it. Now you have the tables. So fine. Let me create few visuals here on the tables. Whatever the tables I have, let me create few visuals here. So client is asking to create a report. There is a sales table, sales data table. On the sales data table, client is asking to create a report. So on the sales data table, client is asking to create a report. What report he is asking to create is, can you show me what is the total sales amount I received? When you want to show what is the total sales amount you received, how can you show it is, you want to go and choose one visual, and on top of that visual, you want to drag that column. Drag the sales amount column on top of the visual. For now, guys, for now. So going forward classes in a detailed way, I'll discuss how to create the visuals. And you are telling that the total sales you are doing is 3.11 million. When you show total sales as 3.11 million, client is asking this time, can you show me male gender how much sales they are doing, female gender how much sales they are doing? If you go here in the customer data table, there is a column called gender column. Male and female is there. Male gender how much sales they are doing, female gender how much sales they are doing, they're asking. If you want to show male gender how much sales we have, female gender how much sales we have, so you want to take another visual this time. Let me take a donut chart, and in this visual you want to show male gender how much sales and female gender how much sales. When I go to the customer data table, you will have a gender column. Drag the gender column, go to the sales data table, drag the sales amount column. So now you are able to see gender wise sales. So let me do some basic formatting to give the better look to the visual. Stop the legend, change the label style to category comma data value, and let me give the dark color, and let me increase the text size. Fine. So let me even do add one border for this. Fine, guys. So now when I show the data like this to my client is telling that fine, you are showing perfectly correct. You are showing total sales is 3.11 million. So when it is male, it is they're doing 1.49 million. When it is female, they're doing 1.62 million. Perfectly correct till here. But I'm not expecting to see M and F here. So you are showing M and F. I want to see the complete text, male. I want to see the complete text here, female, female. So in the reports, instead of showing abbreviated stuff, sometimes better to show the complete text. Here, I want to show the complete text. So when you want to show the complete text here, unfortunately in the customer table, I don't have the complete text. I have M and F. So the data in the source for male and female, they are storing it as M and F. M and F. But in the report or visual, they're expecting to see it as male and female. Male and female. They're expecting to see it as male and female. So the data in the source system will be in one format, and client is expecting to see the data in the reports and visuals in another format. So what you need to do is, once after bringing the data into the Power Query, you need to transform the data here, and you need to load the data into the Power Pivot. Into the Power Pivot, you need to load the data in such a way that, so better to have here it as male and female. And if you have the gender description here, male and female, and you can use them in the visuals. So if you want to get male and female, where you need to transform the data in Power Query. In Power Query, this is one example. So another example is, this time client is asking to create another report. Can you show me customer name wise sales? Each customer, how much sales they are doing. So when I want to show customer name wise sales, so customer name column is not available in single column. So in the customer data table, when I go here, so in the data view, I can see the table data. In the customer table, so I have customer key, customer first name, customer middle name, and customer last name. There is no column where I have customer complete full name. There is no column where I have customer complete full name. I don't have any column like that. So now I have the customer name in three different columns. I want to go and create the visual using these three columns. How can I create a visual? You can take one visual here. I want to show customer name by sales. To show the customer name by sales, so I want to drag customer first name first. Go to the customer data table, drag the customer first name, and drag the customer middle name, and drag the customer last name, and drag the sales. Go to the sales data table, drag the sales amount. Sales amount. So fine, till here, I'm able to show the data correctly here, but only the problem is I'm showing the data in four columns. So when you go and see here, we're showing the data in four different columns. First name in one column, middle name in another column, last name in another column, sales amount in another column. But when I show this one to the client is telling that I don't want to see the customer name in three columns. I want the customer name in a single column. I want to see customer full name and their corresponding sales. Arun J. Sharma, I want to see in one column. I want to see the corresponding sales here. So now again, the data in the customer name in the source system is in three columns, and three columns you have it. And but when it comes to report, customer name is asking to show in one column. So when you want to do this, again, I want to transform the data. So the data in the source system is in one format: first name, middle name, and last name. And these three columns, they're expecting it as full name here. Full name. They're not expecting to see as independent values. When you want to show the customer full name and the corresponding sales, how can I show it here? To show that, I want to again go to Power Query. I want to transform the data customer first name, middle name, last name. I want to combine into full name, and that full name I want to load into the Power Pivot. Power Pivot, always you need to have the data that is required for analysis you need to have the data that is required for analysis in the transformed format. So how you want to show in the reports and visuals, in that format you need to have the data here. To get the data into that format, you need to transform the data in the Power Query. So these are the two basic examples I'm giving here. So I want this time here, instead of gender M and F, I want to write it as male and female. Instead of writing first name, middle name and last name, I want to write customer full name and their corresponding sales. Fine guys, let's do that now. So for doing that, what I can do, so now I want to go to now a Power Query. To transform the data, I want to go to Power Query. I want to transform the data. How to open Power Query now again? Tell me guys, how to open Power Query now? So I want to open Power Query now again. I want to go and transform the data in the customer table. Customer table, I want to combine these three columns into one column. I want to generate one column which contains gender description. I want to derive one conditional column based on gender column, gender description column. So I want to do all this in Power Query. So when I want to do all this in Power Query, how to go to Power Query is in the Home tab, you need to click on Transform Data. To open Power Query, you can click on Transform Data again. Back and forth, you can do it. So I close the Power Query, right? Again, if you want to open Power Query, so at the time of doing the Power Query work, I thought that I don't want to perform any transformations. So, but this time I came to know that I want to perform additional transformations in Power Query. Some other additional transformations I want to perform in Power Query. To perform some additional transformations in Power Query, what I need to do? So to perform additional transformations in Power Query this time, so you need to go to Home tab. You need to click on Transform Data. When you click on Transform Data, it will open Power Query software again, and go to the table where you need to transform the data. I don't want to transform the data in the orders table. I want to transform the data in the customer data table. Go to the customer data and do the transformation here. Let's do the transformation one by one. Let's start with, so I want customer full name. So I have first name, middle name and last name. I want a column called customer full name. Why I need a column customer full name? In the client, in the report, client is asking to show customer full name. That is the reason I need a full name column. So this time I want to combine the first name, middle name, last name into the full name. How can I combine the customer first name, middle name, last name into full name is, you want to identify what is the GUI option in Power Query which will combine the three columns into one column or multiple columns into one column. You need to identify which GUI option in Power Query will combine the multiple columns into one column. I know that to combine the multiple columns into one column, in the Add Column tab, there is an option called Merge Columns. So in the Add Column tab, there is an option called Merge Columns. This merge columns will combine multiple columns into one column. This time my requirement is I want to combine this multiple columns into a single column. Let me do that. Select the first name, select the middle name, select the last name, control button. I'm selecting control button in the keypad, first name, middle name, last name. Select these three and go to add column, click on merge columns. Click on merge columns. It will open a window. You don't want to write any code. It will open a window. It is asking what is the separator you want between first name and middle name, and what is the separator you want between middle name and last name. Basically we'll keep one space, and what is the new column name, merged column name? When you combine the three columns into one column, what is the combined column name you want? It is customer full name. That's it guys. When you press OK, you'll get a new column at the end which will contain the customer full name. Look at this. So John V Yang. So when you go and look at here, so customer first name is John V Yang, right? So it is showing John V Yang. So like this, it will combine the three columns into one column. So you just, when you want to do any transformation, you just need to know which GUI option will help us to do the corresponding work. Fine. The next one is, this time okay, I have the customer full name column. I can show this customer full name column in my report. It is okay. Sarath, any questions?
Yes. Yes, now you have combinedly, if I want to create, instead of merging, I want to override the three columns. Like I don't
Yeah,
want
you can do it.
three separate columns, A dot Sharad dot Babu. Instead of that, I want only one customer column called A Sharad Babu. You got my question?
So you mean to say you don't need the original columns? I don't want to keep the original columns. I want only target result, right?
Okay, okay, correct.
Or else you want a different order. You want a different order, or you don't want the sales columns. So there are I got two understanding from your question. One is might be you are expecting in a different order. First you want middle name, then first name, then last name. Or else you don't want to keep the original columns. I want only target. So both we can do it. So first, if you
Okay.
don't want to keep the original columns, remove it. I don't want original columns to preserve. I don't want the original columns to preserve here. Select the first name, middle name, last name. When you don't want to preserve the original columns, you want to do the operation in transform tab. When you go to the transform tab, there is an option called merge columns. There is an option called merge columns. So go to the transform tab. When you don't want to preserve the original columns, do the operation in transform tab. So click on merge columns. When you click on merge columns, same. What is the separator you want? Space. What is the new column name you want? Customer full name. So when I press OK this time, so you'll get the customer full name column here itself. I'm not preserving the original columns. We lost the original columns. It is not adding any new column at the end. It is just giving the new column for us here itself. So in the previous step, I have customer name in 3 columns. I got that customer name into single column now. So if you want to get the result in the same columns, you want to do it in transform tab. We'll discuss that. For now, I want to keep original columns. I want a new column with the 3 columns. So you want to go to add column this time. So which order you want? If you want middle name first, you want to select middle name first. And then if you want first name next, you want to select first name, control button, and last name. In which order you are selecting the columns, in the same order it will combine. So I want first name first, and then middle name, and then last name. I'm selecting these three. I'm clicking on merge columns, and the separator is space, and the merged column name is customer full name. I want to preserve the original columns also in my case, and I want to even get the new column. Fine. So like this, we can derive it. So I'll give the time for the questions, guys. If you have any questions, make a note of the questions. Fine. I hope Sharath, is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, thanks.
Right. The next one is the next transformation I need to do here is I want to derive a conditional column. When gender equal to M, I want to write it as male. When gender equal to F, I want to write it as female. So whenever I need a conditional column here, select the column on which you need to write the condition and go to add column, and there is an option called conditional column. So just click on conditional column. When you click on conditional column, so you can give them, you are going to derive one new column. You can go and give what name you want. So any ETL when you are going to perform in Power Query can be done using GUI options. Select the gender, click on conditional column, and this is, I can give it as gender, the column name as gender description. So gender description, you want to give one column name, the one which you are going to derive now. So I want to write a condition based on gender column. When gender equals to M, what output you want? When gender is coming as M, in the conditional column, what output you want? I want the output as male. Add another class. I want to write else if gender equals to F. Go and write what output you want, female. And if it is not in the gender column, I'm not getting M, I'm not getting F. So it is blank or something like this. When it is a blank value, else, you can write some else condition here. Else, if it is not M, if it is not F, what you want to show in the output? Unknown, unknown, unknown. So when you press OK here, it will derive one conditional column which contains male and female values, female and male values. So now whatever the columns I need, I derived it. So how can you load these changes to Power Pivot? I'll come back to Power Query again. I want to explain a lot of things. So I made some changes in the customer table. I derived the customer full name column to show in this visual, and I derived the gender description column to show in this visual. Now I want to modify my visuals. When I want to modify my visuals, I need to load the changes. Whatever the changes you made in Power Query, you need to load it. How can you load the data into Power Pivot? Close and apply. Close and apply. So you just need to click on close and apply. So just to try to understand at a high level, guys. Anyway, each module will be discussed for 15 hours of time. For now, I am giving introduction part only. What Power Query is, how we will work on Power Query. I'm just giving introduction. Fine. Now, once you load the data, so now you can go to the customer table. In the customer table, now you can find so first name, middle name, last name. Along with that, you can even find the customer full name column, and along with that, you can find the gender description column. What you can do this time is in this visual, instead of gender column here, you have gender column here. Instead of gender column, I can go and remove the gender column. I can drag the gender description column. Go to here, there is a gender description column. Drag on top of visual or drag on here, anything is fine. So now you when you look at here in the visual, I'm not seeing like M. It is showing male 1.49 million, female 1.62 million. Same way here also, I don't want to show first name, middle name, last name, and sales amount. I want to show full name. So you derive the customer full name, right? Go and drag the customer full name here. So for now, I am keeping both of them. When you look at here, customer first name and last name, when we combine, you got customer full name. Now you can remove these three columns. Client is not expecting these three columns. Remove the first name column, middle name column, last name column. Now you are able to get customer full name and their corresponding sales. Perfect. This is how my client is expecting. So just these are small examples. Sometimes data in the source system will be in one format, and the client will be expecting to see the data in the reports and visuals some other format. Once you bring the data to the Power Query, so understand how your client is expecting the data here and transform in such a way, and then load the data into the Power Pivot. Fine. So now let me go back to Power Query again. I want to go back to Power Query. I want to understand some more things about Power Query. How to go back to Power Query? Home tab, click on transform data. It will open Power Query. So in Power Query, you can go to each table and you can perform the transformation. Now I open Power Query. I need to go to each table. I need to start transforming the data in the tables. So I want to convert the customer name. There is a in the orders table, I have a customer name column. I want to convert the customer name to uppercase. So when you want to convert the customer name to uppercase, I want to see the customer name in uppercase in the same column. When you want to see the customer name in the uppercase in the same column, you need to go to transform tab. So first you need to identify which GUI option will help me to convert the customer name to uppercase, this column to uppercase. So you need to identify one of the GUI option here. I know that there is a GUI option in the format and uppercase. So this option in the transform tab, when you go to the format, you'll see uppercase. When you click on it, it will be converting this column to the uppercase. So as soon as you click on it uppercase, it will convert the data to the uppercase. When you click on any GUI option, so in the background, a code will be executed, guys. Let me write here one point. So in Power Query, when you click on any GUI option, a code will be executed in the backend. When you click on any GUI option, a code will be executed in the backend. A code will be executed in the backend. So what is the code it is going to execute behind the GUI options is M language code. Behind the GUI options, the code Microsoft is using is behind the GUI options, the language or the code. So in which language they're writing that code? When you are writing some code, you want to use some language. In which language they are writing the code behind the GUI options is M language. M language. M stands for mashup language. Mashup language. M full form is mashup language. So we have multiple languages in the software field. C language, Java language. These days you are seeing some famous languages called Python, R. So there are a lot of software languages are available in the software field. Same way M is one language. So Microsoft is using M language in the Power Query software. So M will be used behind the GUI options to reduce the effort. So developer effort, they're creating lot of GUI options here. Behind each GUI option, they're writing some M language code. If you see here, to convert the customer name, I'm selecting the column. Now customer name in the proper case. To convert this into the uppercase, I'm selecting the customer name column. I'm going to the transform tab here. I'm going to the format. I'm going to click on uppercase. As soon as you click on uppercase, a new step will be added here. And under that step, it will write some M language code. Let's see what M language code it will write. When you click on uppercase, when you look at here, so it got converted to the uppercase. When you see here, it got added a new step. And when you go to this here, you'll see a formula bar. In the formula bar, you can see the M code, what it is writing behind that step. So it is not happening simply, guys. So when you click on GUI, when some operation is happening in the backend, there is lot of effort. So Microsoft did lot of effort by creating these GUI options. When you click on any GUI options, behind the GUI options, a code will be executed like this. If you see here, it is taking a function called text.upper. There is a function with the name text.upper. This function will convert the customer name to uppercase. This text.upper function will convert the customer name column to uppercase. This text.upper is which function? It is a M language function. Are you writing this code? Do you want to buy had these functions? No, guys. So 98% of our ETL work can be done using GUI options itself. I'll show you. So there are wonderful options in the Power Query. Almost any kind of transformation can be done with GUI options itself. So text.upper is a M function. To that function, it is passing a customer name column. Obviously, it will convert into the uppercase. Same way, in the customer data table, you write a conditional column, right? First name, middle name, last name. You write a conditional column here, right? So when you write a conditional column, it got written some code here. So, or else, sorry. So let me remove all this. Let me remove all this. So I want to combine first name, middle name, last name. I selected first name, middle name, last name, order. First name, middle name, last name. Go to add column, merge columns. I want a separator as space. I want the new column name, merged column name as customer full name. Customer full name. When I press OK, so at the end you got a new column, customer full name, and it got added a new of step. When you go to that step, you can see what M code it is writing. Look at this. This is the M language code it is writing behind the GUI option. Behind the merge columns, it is the M language code it is writing. So it is taking a M function called text.combine. To the text.combine, it is passing first name column, it is passing middle name column, it is passing last name column, and it is passing a separator called space. So if there is no GUI option available like this, you want to write the code like this. You want to use a function called text.combine. You want to pass first name, middle name, and last name columns. You want to pass what is the separator you want. Instead of doing all this by a developer, to save the time, to save the effort, Microsoft has come up with a GUI options. Now you can even change here. If you know how to change the M language code, you can change it. When you change it, the output will change. Look at here, the space is there. When the space is there, you are getting space between each column. Let's assume, let me add a comma here. When you and you have comma there, when you press enter, you got comma. If you know how to edit the M language code, you can edit it. If you know how to write the M language code, you can write it. So but you don't want to write it, so GUI options itself will write the code. Let me remove from comma to space only. I want a space. Let's take the space only. Like this, when you perform any ETL operation, it will write some code. So I want to convert, I want to bring gender description. Select the gender column, go to add column, click on conditional column. I'm not writing the code, I'm using some options here. So the column name is gender description, and on which column you need to write gender equals to M, and I want the output as male. And add a class gender equal to, else if gender equal to F, female, I want to write it as female. And what is this, else unknown. So when you press OK, it will get a conditional column. Not only one column you'll get one additional step. Not only additional step, behind that step some M code will be executed. So look at this M code. So it is writing an M code called, if gender column is coming as M, write it as male. Else if gender column is coming as F, then write it as female. If it is not M, if it is not F, write it as unknown. That is what you got in the output. Fine. Behind every GUI option here, a code will be executed. A code will be executed. In which language Microsoft is writing that code is M language. M language starts for mashup language. So some people are asking, so do you want to learn M language? So do you teach M language? I'm telling here. So 98% of the ETL work can be done with GUI options itself. So only 2% of the ETL work, sometimes we need to write our own M code. I'll tell you how to write our own custom M code, where to write it. But we are not going to learn complete M language. You don't want to learn it. So instead of learning the M language, going and learning the Python language is best. Going and learning the Java is best. So it is a programming language, not that easy. So a lot of things can be done with GUI. So when things are happening with GUI, what is the need of learning the code? What is the need of writing it? So where we cannot achieve something, we can learn them. We can write our own custom code. But I'll say, I'll write some code, custom code, whenever it is required. Whenever it is required. So this is all about Power Query, guys. So using Power Query, using new source, you need to extract the data. Using other GUI options, we need to transform the data. And using close and apply, you need to load the data. And when you use any GUI option, behind the GUI options, it will write the code. And in which language it will write the code is M language. M stands for mashup language. So once you are done with transforming the data in every table, so I'm comfortable that every table is containing proper structured data, then you can load the data to PowerPoint. Just click on close and apply. All the data will be loaded to PowerPoint. Now, so from last 1 hour of time, I clearly explain what we will do in Power Query. So how we will perform the ETL activities. Coming 15 hours, when I start Power Query software, 15 hours I'll discuss extensively how can we perform all the transformations. Every GUI option will be discussed. So now let me load this data to PowerPoint. Once you load the data to the PowerPoint, all the data will be loaded to PowerPoint here. Now, all the data you can see in where? Whatever the tables you loaded from Power Query to PowerPoint, you can see in the model view. This is nothing but model view, guys. So how many tables you loaded into PowerPoint? All the tables you can see in the model view. So whatever the tables we are loading from Power Query to Power Pivot, we'll see them in the model view. We will see them in model view. So I want to see what are the tables I loaded into Power Pivot. Where you can see them is, you want to go to the model view and you can see the 6 tables here. I am seeing 6 tables, 3 plus 3, 6 tables I'm seeing. So now I want to explain what we will do in Power Pivot software. The next thing we are going to understand is, we're done with understanding about Power Query software. Next software we need to understand is what we will do in Power Pivot software. Let me write here. What is Power Pivot? So next thing we need to understand is overview of Power Pivot. Power Pivot. If someone is asking what is Power Query, I written a definition of Power Query. If someone is asking what is Power Query is a ETL software in Power BI which is used for performing the data preparation activities. If someone is asking Power Pivot, I can tell like this. Power Pivot is a in-memory database in Power BI. Power Pivot is a in-memory database, in-memory database, which is used for building the whole app model, which is used for building the whole app model. When when we are implementing any BA process, so when company have some business data, to analyze the business data, they want to implement a BA process. In that BA process, we want to create one whole app model. So the whole app model will be created in Power Pivot, guys. Whole app model will be created in Power Pivot. You can call it as Power Pivot is an in-memory database which is used for building the whole app model. So there are multiple definitions. So in a simple words, it's an in-memory database. As it is a database, but database, what we will do with database? In the databases, we'll store the tables along with the data. So what is the purpose of database, guys? Database is used for storing the data in the form of tables. Database is used for storing the data, storing the data in the form of tables. So same way, Power Pivot also what it will do is, Power Pivot is also a database. It will store the tables. It will store the data that is required for analysis in the form of tables. When you go to this model view, here you are seeing there are tables. In the tables you have the data. All the data is storing in where? Power Pivot. It's a database. Database inbuilt capability is storing the data in the form of tables. It is not a normal database. It's a in-memory database. In-memory databases are very powerful database when it comes to reporting. In tomorrow's class, I'll clearly explain what is in-memory database, how the in-memory databases are powerful when it comes to reporting point of view. The architecture of relational or traditional databases are different. The architecture of in-memory databases are different. So when it comes to normal databases, the way they store the data is different in row format. In memory databases, the way they store the data is different, columnar format. So when it comes to in memory databases, they are very powerful when it comes to reporting. How they are very powerful when it comes to reporting, I'll discuss in tomorrow's class. So let's stop here for today.